Let's take a closer look at what the opposition in Bangladesh is demanding. Well, it wants elections to be held under a neutral caretaker government. The system of having a caretaker government during elections was introduced back in 1996 to prevent violence and fraud. But the system came under fire a decade later after a military-backed interim government stayed beyond its mandated 3 months and delayed elections by nearly 2 years. Hundreds of politicians were jailed during this time, including current Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And in 2011, under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh ended the caretaker government requirement for elections. Ramin Farhana is a former member of parliament for the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Joins us now from Dhaka. Good to have you with us. So first of all, let me bring to you some of the points. When I spoke to members of the ruling party, they say the country already has enough of an independent electoral process. There really is no need for an interim government.
Thank you so much and very good evening. First of all, I'd like to make it absolutely clear that Bangladesh is no longer a democratic country. In last 15 years, it has become a one-party state, basically. In 2014 election, as you know, that the government was formed without a single vote as 153 seats went uncontested. At that time, the government promised that they're going to arrange another election very soon where all the political parties will participate. But unfortunately, that soon didn't take place in 5 years. And the next election took place in 2018, which is mostly known as the midnight election. At that time, the Prime Minister also sat with all the political parties, including the main opposition, BNP, and promised that she will arrange a fair election under herself. And in that so-called fair election, which is mostly known as midnight election, our 50 candidates were brutally beaten on the date of election. And during the campaign, their cars and their homes were vandalized. Our activists and members were tortured, abducted, arrested, killed, murdered, and whatnot. So that election is not an election at all in the eye of law. And people couldn't
Let me jump in here if I could. Of course, several international human rights groups have complained and documented what they see as repression of people's political and civil rights in Bangladesh. But at the same time, when I spoke to supporters of and members of the ruling party, this is what they say. They say the violence, the trouble, they dismiss it. There isn't repression going on. They say the protesters, the supporters of the opposition party that you are with, they come to protests carrying sticks. Why would you come to a protest carrying sticks if you want to demonstrate peacefully, they ask?
None of us carried any stick. It was strictly instructed by my party that all the programs will be absolutely peaceful. In last 1 year, we are doing programs one after another. You can see rallies, you can see meetings, you can see human chain and other programs where our supporters and members joined. And at that time, the opposition, the party, the ruling party, they started this sort of thing. And 2 days back, there was a sit-in program in Dhaka, as you know, and at the entry points of Dhaka city. And in that program, 2 of our senior leaders were brutally beaten down, and they were tortured by the police like anything. One was Babu Gaisha Chandra Rai, and the other was our senior member, Amanullah Aman. Both of them were taken to hospital, and our members were arrested. Cases were filed, and in those cases, hundreds and thousands of our people's names have been incorporated. But is it possible that maybe
some of your followers are not listening to that kind of advice and are coming? We've seen in videos, it does look like some of the protesters do have sticks. How much of a control do you have over your own supporters at this point, even if you ask them to come peacefully?
I am a lawyer, and we call something self-defense. If you want to come and beat me up all the time, if you come with gun to kill me, I have every right to defend myself. I have every right to protect myself. That's exactly what our people did. I mean, in last 1 year, our 20 party members were gunned down by the police. Many tens and thousands were arrested. So we have every right to protect ourselves. I have seen the videos too in the social media. I have seen the reports of the international media, and all the media says that the local Awami League goons, they were acted as an auxiliary force with the police. The police were ready with the tear shells. They were ready with the water cannons and with the guns and everything to stop our program, to stop our protest. And they are beating up our activists and members like anything. So this government for last 15 years, they don't care at all about human rights issue. You have seen the reports of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Freedom House, Reporters Without Borders, all are saying very clearly that there is a gross violation of human rights in Bangladesh. In last 1 decade, more than 600 people were abducted and more than 2,800 were killed extrajudicially. But if you ask the government, they will simply deny the issue of abduction or extrajudicial killing. That's very, very unfortunate. And we are fighting for our voting right. And, the caretaker government issue, it was a settled issue, and it was a political settlement, that came through national consensus. All the parties agreed with that. And this government, this caretaker government that ensured a peaceful transition of power, it ensured voting right to our people, it ensured level playing field to the political parties, and everybody was happy with that.
You feel they're not adhering to their promises. All right, thank you so much for coming and expressing your perspective. Rumeen Farhana there.
Thank you for inviting me.